Pikachu and the Shadow in the Forest. Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village surrounded by lush green forests, there lived a young Pikachu named Pico. Pico was a playful and curious Pikachu who loved exploring the woods, making new friends, and enjoying the warmth of the sun. Every day, Pico would run through the tall grass, chase after Butterfree, and climb the trees with Squirtle and Bulbasaur. But one evening, as the sun began to set, Pico noticed something strange. A shadow, darker than the night itself, seemed to flicker between the trees. It was quick, too quick for Pico to get a good look at, but it made the air around it feel cold and heavy. Probably just the wind, Pico whispered to himself, trying to shake off the feeling of unease. But as the days went by, the shadow kept appearing, always lurking just out of sight, and Pico could never tell whether it was real or just his imagination. One day, Pico decided to be brave and follow the shadow. "I won't let fear stop me," he said, determination lighting up his little cheeks. So, he ventured deeper into the forest, further than he'd ever gone before. The trees grew taller, and the forest grew darker. Pico could hear the distant calls of other Pokémon, but they sounded muffled, like they were far away. The air was thick, and the sky above was hidden behind a blanket of leaves. Suddenly, Pico heard a rustling sound, slow, deliberate, as if something was following him. "Pikachu?" Pico called out, his voice shaky. "Who's there?" The rustling stopped, and then, just as he was about to turn around, a soft, eerie whisper reached his ears. "Pico." His heart skipped a beat. It sounded like his name, but the voice wasn't quite right. It was low, almost growling, and it made Pico's fur stand on end. Without thinking, Pico dashed forward, hoping to escape whatever was chasing him. But the whisper came again, this time closer. "Pico, I see you." Pico stumbled, his tiny paws slipping on the wet forest floor. As he tried to get up, he looked up and saw a pair of glowing yellow eyes staring down at him from a dark silhouette in the distance. "Who's there?" Pico cried out. The figure stepped forward, and Pico gasped. It looked like a Pikachu, just like him, but its fur was black, its eyes glowed a sinister red, and its smile was twisted into something that wasn't friendly at all. "I am you," it said, its voice a haunting echo of Pico's own. "I am the shadow you can't escape. I am the darkness inside your heart." Pico backed away, his body trembling. "No, you're not me. You're not real." But the shadow Pikachu just laughed, the cruel, hollow sound. "I'm as real as the fear you carry," it hissed. "And now you'll join me in the darkness." Pico's cheeks sparked with electricity, but he couldn't control his fear. The shadow Pikachu stepped closer, its eyes burning with malice. Then, just as the shadow Pikachu lunged forward, Pico remembered something. The sun. It was setting, and soon the moon would rise. And with the moonlight came the hope that things would be all right. Pico took a deep breath, his body trembling less. He raised his tail high and summoned all the courage he had. "Thunderbolt," he cried, sending a brilliant flash of light straight toward the shadow. The shadow's Pikachu screeched and recoiled as the lightning struck, its form flickering and fading in the brilliant glow. The forest seemed to exhale, and the darkness that had clung to the trees slowly began to recede. When the light faded, the shadow Pikachu was gone, and the forest returned to its peaceful quiet. Pico stood still for a moment, catching his breath. The air felt lighter, the leaves rustled in the breeze, and the sun had finally dipped below the horizon, leaving the forest bathed in the soft glow of the moon. Pico smiled, his little heart racing but filled with relief. "I'm not afraid anymore," he whispered to himself. From that night on, Pico never saw the shadow again. He learned that sometimes the scariest monsters are just the fears we carry inside ourselves, and the only way to defeat them is with courage, light, and a spark of hope. And so, the brave little Pikachu returned to his village, where he would play, laugh, and explore with his friends, knowing that even in the darkest of times, he could always find a way to shine. The end.
You better not mess with my gang, or you'll be messing with Oopie Goopie, General Munchkin Man, Lil Jim Bob, and worst of all, Larry.